Good morning, Muscatine. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. As always, I want to say thank you to our sponsors before I get started. Shout out to Hy-Vee, Unity Point Health and Trinity Muscatine, Muscatine Power and Water, Becky Insurance, Toyota of Muscatine, Rival Plumbing and Heating, Impact Fitness and Nutrition, Lutheran Living Senior Campus, Impact Life Blood Center, Harper Cycling and Fitness, Muscatine County Fair, and Bayer of Muscatine. I have to do a quick shout out to MPW. I want to say they had a fun and very exciting health fair for their first annual one for their employees. So that was a lot of fun to being a part of, so I can't wait for next year. And also I have to do a shout out to Bridge to Beginnings because it's PJ Day right now for their Spirit Week, and I got to put my son in his skeleton PJs, and they're glow in the dark. They're really cool. And I'm pretty sure when my husband goes and picks up Scott or Patrick, he's going to be really confused why he's wearing his PJs, but they're really cool. So love that. Here at Hy-Vee, they are doing a Facebook opportunity to win a $50 gift card to Wahlburgers. So you just have to go on to that post and make sure that you are commenting on there what your favorite menu item is and what menu item you haven't tried yet that you're looking forward to. They're going to be giving away that $50 gift card to one lucky winner on October 3rd. And also they are doing 99-cent pumpkins, so it's a limit to one per coupon. So be sure to grab some pumpkins before they run out. And it is Muskie Homecoming Court tonight, so good luck to all of you for Kings and Queens. Shout out to Nathan for Muskie Boys. Hopefully you get that title and make sure you vote for him. That's just my personal choice. And homecoming game is tomorrow at 7:15 against Dubuque Hempstead. And also Discover Muscatine will be live broadcasting this, so if you don't go, you can still watch it on Channel 3, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you would like to, and make sure that you are wearing your purple and gold tomorrow. Today, I have Don with me from Muscatine Church of Christ.
Good morning.
And can you introduce yourselves and just tell us what you do here in Muscatine?
So, my name's Donnie Anderson, and I'm the minister of the Church of Christ up on North Mulberry. And I came to town about 2 years ago, not quite two, but I came from the Houston, Texas area, and I've been in ministry for about 35 years. And so I thought I had retired, but here I am, and I'm back in it.
You're still going.
That's it.
And how do you like the cold weather compared to?
It's definitely a lot different. Definitely a lot different. But now everybody told me last winter was a mild winter, so I'm sort of braced for what could be.
They alternate, so.
Oh, wonderful.
Give you that heads up. Iowa's unpredictable when it comes to weather.
Yeah, but it's great with his people.
It is. It is amazing. And what made you want to move to Muscatine then? What was that travel?
Well, it's a long story, but real short. Again, I thought I was done with my ministry, and I've spent my entire career doing long-term interim ministry, which is basically churches that need help. I've gone and helped, and I kind of was tired of that. And so as it might happen, the church here was looking for a new preacher, and some folks that I know through academics kind of threw my name out in the pot, and so here I am.
Here you are.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So,
well, and you have something fun happening over the next few days.
We
from
do.
Sunday through Thursday, I believe.
Right.
Can you talk to us about what this Relationship Matters seminar is?
Yeah, so Relationships Matter is a seminar that examines and helps us in our relationships. Relationships are at the core of everything that we do, whether it's our personal relationships, whether it's our relationships with a spouse or significant other, whether it's our jobs, and everything. Relationships is the key to everything. And sometimes we get crossways in our relationships, and we damage those relationships when we do that. And so the Relationships Matter seminar is an attempt to try to help us to understand the dynamics of behavior and how it affects relationships and how we can live a better life. So that's kind of the core of it.
And who are the people that come in and do this seminar?
So the presenters are Dr. Jerry and Lynn Jones. So their story is pretty unique. Jerry was the dean of the College of Bible at Harding University in Searcy, Arkansas for 24 years. And then his wife died of cancer. And so he began to look for something new to do other than what he had been. Separately, Lynn had a relationship with her husband of 20 years, and he just decided one day he didn't want to be married anymore. They had 3 teenage children, and he walked out of the marriage. About 7 years after this happened, they happened to meet each other, kind of developed a relationship, got married, and then they kind of looked at each other to decide what they're going to do. Now, Lynn was a clinical psychologist who had been in practice for many years, and she was teaching at St. Louis University. And so here you had a Bible professor and a psychologist both teaching at the university level. And over time, they looked at each other and kind of said, you know, we have a unique story. One of us has been through death and divorce, and the other, death, and the other one's been through divorce. And so we kind of have a unique perspective on what life is all about. So they came and developed this seminar. They've done probably hundreds and hundreds of these seminars around the world and in almost every state. And so they bring this unique outlook on life in developing this seminar for us to kind of learn from. The interesting thing about it is most of the time when you have dual presenters, you will have one talks and then the other talks. That's not what they do. They talk together. And so Jerry will examine what the issues are in life and what God calls us through Scripture in those particular. It's not a churchy thing. It's just this is what God says our relationship should be about. Lynn breaks it down from a psychological standpoint and tries to explain to us the different kinds of behavior and how it affects the relationship. So it's really an interesting back and forth bantering as they go through the seminar.
And I think that's kind of neat. I mean, you have one that wants you to understand what everything is happening, and the other one kind of brings it into a modern world and
Yes.
kind of a better understanding for maybe some who don't understand all of the scripture readings and understanding of that. So I like the modernization of saying this is what's happening and this is how we should go about it.
Right. The makeup of where we are in relationships, there are some really key things in the Bible that talk about relationships. Socrates once said that religion aside, the Bible is the best book on how to live your life. And so Jerry's trying to point out these types of things that talk to us about our relationships. And so, for instance, just to give you one scripture, Paul talks in the letter to the Philippians about do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in all things consider others. Well, there's a really good life point for us to pull from that as to how we should live our life of putting others first. And so they talk about things like that, and then Lynn breaks down the behavior of when people are selfish. Here's what this person who is being selfish, this is what their attitude is like, and here's how it's being perceived in life by the other person, okay? And how that damages the relationship. So it's a really interesting way that they go about analyzing life.
And they're bringing it not just into the spiritual portion, but they're focusing on all 4 elements when it comes to health. They talk about emotional, mental, spiritual, and even physical.
Yeah, all of those 4 are part of our makeup, okay? Whether we are spiritual in nature or not, we have a spiritual side. We have those moments. Even if you have like an iWatch, okay? Your iWatch tells you to take a moment in the morning and to think or to breathe or to do something, okay? So there is an emotional portion of us that is spiritual and the same thing. So what they're trying to do is to teach us how to pull all 4 of those aspects together. And they do that in a very unique way that helps us to understand not only the psychological side of it, but also the physical and emotional and spiritual side of it as well.
Because your mental health is truly the foundation of where you need to be. If your
absolutely.
mental state isn't there, what you're doing physical-wise, what you're doing emotional-wise, what your support system is doing for you, it could all just crumble if your mental health and mindset isn't there.
Yeah, and so much of our relationships we don't understand play into our mental health and play into our psyche and whether or not we're physically well, okay? And when I say physically, I'm not talking about, your body is well. I'm just talking about your emotional health, because if your emotional health is a wreck, then your life is a wreck, And so part of our issues in life can be that we get to a point in life where we think there's no hope. I'm not a good person, or I could never overcome whatever it is that I'm struggling with.
Yeah.
And all of that is emotional, and all of that is spiritual, okay? And we don't necessarily recognize that. So what they're going to do is to try to help us to understand those times, to try to help us to understand how to pull up there. One of the famous things that Jerry says in this seminar is that this seminar is either going to save a relationship that you are in, or it's going to save a relationship of someone that you know. Because when we get into difficult times, we don't often come to the professionals to get help. We turn to our friends.
Yes.
Okay? So you say, well, my relationships are fine. I don't have any problems. Well, there's things that you could learn from these folks about how to help others, how to help your friends. Are you the kind of person that your friends turn to you and ask for advice? And we all do it, okay?
Yeah.
We all do it. So in 30 plus years of counseling, most of the time when people come to me, for instance, in marriages, and they say, we need help, they're already so far gone that it's really hard to help them to come back, okay? And in almost all of those cases, they have turned to friends for a period of time, sometimes long times, trying to seek help and advice. And so this is not just a seminar that can help you in your personal, which it will, but it's also a seminar that can help other people that you know.
And when it comes to some of the seminars, it's broken up into multiple different ones. Can you kind of talk about some of the examples?
Sure. There's 13 different seminars that they do. They start on Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. And in that particular session, it's unique because Lynn takes the women and goes this way. Jerry takes the men and goes this way.
Okay.
And they talk about the women of God and the men of God. What does God call women to be, and what does God call men to be? Okay. At 10 o'clock, Jerry talks about the servant heart, which he says is at the core of all of the relationship problems that we have. All right. Then they come back at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They talk about death and divorce, overcoming that problem in life. A lot of folks. I had a wife that after 25 years passed away in an hour and 10 minutes. It was a pulmonary embolism, and it just boom, and it happened. And so overcoming that is a really difficult thing. And so there's people that go through divorces and relationship failures, okay? And those are difficult to overcome, especially when you're emotionally tied to people. It's like, you just can't pull away and walk away kind of thing. So they talk about how to overcome death and divorce in relationships. Then they talk about, at 4 o'clock, they're going to talk about raising kids, okay? And one of the unique things about raising kids in our culture today is we have a lot of blended families. And as a result of that, how do you deal with that? Because it's your kids and it's her kids, and it's, who's got the way to discipline kids, and kids will test us. It's like, you're not my dad, you're not my mom kind of thing. And they talk about how to deal with that, okay? And how to struggle through and work through those things and become. And here again, their personal situation drives this, because when Jerry married Lynn, she had 3 teenage boys. And so he had to overcome that and become someone in their life when they're at a teenage station in their life, okay? In the evening time, they have 2 more sessions. We'll break at 5 o'clock and have a light dinner. And then at 6 o'clock, Jerry will talk again. And then at 7 o'clock, the 2 of them again will present together. And that's Sunday. So they do 7 sessions in Sunday.
Okay.
And then on Monday night, they come back and they talk about communication in marriage. All right. And it's hilarious how they talk about that. They're actually going to have a fight on stage on Monday night. And it's actually a reenactment of something that they went through early in their marriage.
Okay.
And I promise you it's going to be a knockdown, drag out. And they're going to warn people before they get started. You know, if you have small children, you need to tell them that we're just playing here.
Yeah.
Because it's really, they really get at each other and they go at it. And then they break it all down. And they go through and they talk about the psychological effects of what he heard and she heard, and how, you know, what was propelling his comments and her comments, and they go through this whole argument piece by piece, and they talk about, and then they give us some ideas on how we could better handle that. And because difficulties in communications come in many different ways in our relationships.
My husband and I, we own a business together, so yeah, it's we have to balance between being owners and being husband and wife, and not wanting to, you know, the occasional ripping each other's head off.
Yeah, and all of those different aspects come into it, you know, whether you were talking earlier about taking your son to school in his pajamas, you know, it's going to be like, you know, there's going to be a reaction when he goes to pick him up, you know, kind of thing.
Definitely not the PJs he would have put him in.
No, it's like, you know, what'd you do that for, you know? And so just, not that this would happen with you, but it's just like, just imagine how that response could be, you know?
Yeah.
That could be a negative response, or it could be a funny response, and it's just the way that we communicate with each other.
He will be an eye roll and then a laugh.
So, well, those things are minor, but it's the other things that get to us, you know, and damage our relationships. And then Tuesday night is a real interesting night, because Tuesday night they talk about a very important topic in our society today, and that's pornography. And they break that down, and they talk about the dangers of pornography in all relationships, whether it comes from the standpoint of being inside of a marriage or being outside of a marriage, and the expectations that we have a lot of things in our society today, a lot of violence that is driven by pornography. And that's unfortunate that it's true. And they talk about the psychological damage that pornography does to an individual. And so it's really interesting to hear that kind of professional advice that you wouldn't normally hear. I mean, you read stories maybe about that, or maybe you read a magazine article or something that's written about it, but to hear a psychologist break it down and talk about what's going on in the mind when this happens, and what the effects of it is, and what it's really doing to our mind, that's a really, really important topic that's hot in our community today. And then on Wednesday night, they sort of wrap up the seminar with loving your mate and your friends through the seasons of life, growing together, and how your relationship changes throughout the time of your life. And so it's 13 sessions, and I might add also, they will offer free marriage counseling throughout this entire seminar. The only requirement that they ask is that you attend all of the sessions up to the time of your counseling. It's free. Nobody at our church will know about it. They will not pass on any information. It will be totally confidential. And they may refer you to somebody here in town if they detect that maybe there's some further counseling that needs to be had. But it's a first come, first serve, sign up type thing at their seminar.
And when it comes to the seminars, are you required to attend all of them, or can you pick and choose which ones you feel?
That's a great question. No, it's a pick and choose. Where's your schedule at, you know? And so, yes, they build throughout the seminar. You know, one layer goes on top of another. But if you can't make all of them, and 13 sessions is a lot to make, okay, then pick the ones that you can come when you can. You know, if you can only come on Monday night, it's worth the show just to see them get into a fight.
Yeah.
So, but you know, if you're interested, for instance, in learning more about the dangers of pornography and what it's really doing to our society, that's a great one to go to. If you have a blended family, then the 4 o'clock session on Sunday afternoon is a great session to go to. If you've been through a divorce, if you've been through a relationship breakup, and listen, relationship breakup does not have to mean a marriage or a boyfriend-girlfriend thing. It could be, I had a really bad breakup with my company that I worked for. I mean, I had some problems with the person that I worked for, kind of thing. So if you've had those kinds of things, then the 3 o'clock session could be a good one for you.
Even like intergroup support, the ones that support you in your health and wellness goals, if there's maybe some that don't, it's okay to let them go and just trying to figure out how to create a new partnership and relationship as well.
Yeah. Another key thing that they're going to talk about that we in the counseling world talk about a lot is family of origin. So your family of origin determines your behavior a lot, okay? Like for instance, in my household, I grew up with an alcoholic father, and life was not fun in my house. It was yelling and screaming and things that were being thrown across the house. And when I was a young boy, around the age of 11, I got on my bicycle and I took off because I didn't want to be in my house. It was horrible. So even today, if you back me against the wall and you come at me in a negative way, there is this propensity inside of me to want to jump out and scream and yell because that's what I was raised in. And that's the behavior that I grew up with. Well, our family of origin behavior affects every relationship that we have throughout our entire life. And it's really difficult to change that behavior when we grew up in it and we were ingrained in it.
Yeah.
And so they talk about that, and they talk about how to that affects our relationships, whether it be job, whether it be a personal relationship, maybe it's your friends, and understanding that our friends' behavior is sometimes the way they talk, or they think, well, that person's so selfish. Well, maybe it came from their family. Maybe that's the way they were raised, and so when we understand that, maybe we have a little more compassion for other people and the situations that they come from.
Yeah, I think that's a great seminar. And does any of this cost anything to
No,
attend?
it's absolutely free. It's our gift to the community, and so we encourage everyone to come as often as you can possibly come.
Perfect. Is there anything additional to this that you want to add, especially with the seminar?
Well, just we all have situations in life that we don't understand in certain relationships, and we all come across things where we say, well, why did that person do that? And getting a little bit more educated helps to make us a better person, okay? Many years ago, when I used to hire people, when I was in larger churches and stuff like that, I used to ask the question, tell me something that you've done in the last 30 days to make yourself a better person. Now, there is no answer for that. So the answer to it is I read a book. It could be I went to church. It could be anything, okay? This is an opportunity to make yourself a better person. This is an opportunity to put more tools in your toolbox and to give yourself the opportunity to understand people a little bit better and to maybe have the ability to work through some things or help a friend work through some things that maybe they don't know.
I definitely need the how to raise a 2-year-old session. That is my ultimate challenge. It's trying to still figure out the balance and emotions and just direction and education.
Yeah, they don't come with instructions, do they?
No, they do not. They do not come with an instruction manual. There's plenty of books, but not any hands-on instruction manuals. So I think what they're providing and especially all the health portions of it, understanding it's just as important as your mental health, your spiritual, your physical, and they're combining all these and breaking them into sessions. I love that it gives also your brain time to process and absorb the information and continue into the next section. I think that's really neat, and this is just a very unique setup too.
Yeah. One last thing that I would for sure want everybody to know: this is not a churchy thing. Yes, we're going to have worship on Sunday morning for about 30 minutes, and then we're going to let Jerry take over, okay? But this is a seminar about life.
Yes.
So that's a good thing.
Good combination. And I think I'm very curious to learn more about Jerry and Lynn, and just seeing, yes, Jerry and Lynn.
Yeah.
Just seeing how their partnership, and just hearing both of them, I think, is very unique. They come from two different sides, but they're able to come together and bring their stories in as one. And I love that setup and process.
Yeah, and they're very powerful presenters, very powerful. And, you know, Jerry has been preaching for many, many, many years. And his focus now is, what can he do with whatever time that he has left to help as many people as he can possibly help. And Lynn is probably, as powerful as Jerry is, Lynn may be the better presenter. And I say that with all love in my heart.
Yeah.
But it's very unique, because one of them comes at it from the standpoint of, when God designed us, this is what he designed for our relationships. And the other one comes at it from the standpoint of the psychological side, to help us to understand how our behavior affects other people. And just simple words that we use, and tone of voice, and just different items that we take for granted every day. And again, the family of origin plays a huge part in this.
Yeah.
Because that's the way, you know, if we had families that were maybe a little rough around the collar, then we grow up being rough around the collar. And one of the things that I like to tell people, doesn't have anything to do with Jerry and Lynn, but it's like, I had this situation in life when my daughter was born. A very, very good friend of mine had a little boy 2 weeks to the day before my daughter was born. So this was in March, and in September we were having a Labor Day party, and it was at his house. And so I got up and went to the kitchen, got something to drink, came back in the doorway, and I stood there and I just looked at it, and I had this tremendous thought process. All the ladies were gathered around my daughter on the couch, and when she was in the hospital, some organization had given her a little Raggedy Ann doll. It was about that big. It was really small, okay? And they're teaching her on the couch, hug the dolly, love the dolly, can you kiss the dolly? They were taking her arms and putting it around the dolly. And here the guys were off over there in the corner in front of the TV doing high fives and playing ball and roughing and wrestling and doing things like that. And it dawned on me, from birth, we teach little girls how to love and cuddle and how to be affectionate. And we teach little boys how to be rough and tough and tumble and pick yourself up by your own bootstraps.
Yep.
And somewhere in between, when relationships come along, we have to learn how to marry those two things together. And it's not natural. It's not natural at all. So when two people come together, for instance, they get engaged, you have a young lady that perhaps has lived by herself her entire life. And you have a young man that maybe has done the same thing. You've taken two people that come out of the single world, with their world revolves around themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the way we're raised, okay? But all of a sudden you're going to throw this together in the pot, and you're going to create a stew out of it, and it's supposed to work. You know, this one's selfish, and they've got to learn how to work for the other person. And that's where the servant heart comes in, okay? That's where putting others in front of ourselves in. And so it's a unique opportunity to look at life a little bit differently.
I think these are going to be ones that I would definitely love to attend and understand a little bit more. And I really like the backstory and the origins, and understanding where our, you know, kind of roots come from and how they apply into our everyday life. And of course, before we leave, we have to play a game.
Okay.
So we are playing What's in the Box.
All right.
And this is from Toyota Muscatine. I will give you a hint. Do you want a hint?
I guess I want a hint.
Okay. So it's something to do with a national day.
A national day.
Yes.
Okay.
Stay. right, so your hands go on either side.
And I have to pick this out, right?
You just have to feel around and see what it is.
Popcorn.
Try again.
Oh, man.
It won't bite you, so you can...
It won't bite?
No.
Oh, wow. Coffee.
It is. It is coffee. It is National Coffee Day. So go out and get your coffee, whether it's here at Starbucks, it's downtown. Make sure that you are grabbing a cup, and I'm sure that they're going to have some delicious flavors. And of course, anyone that loves pumpkin spice, you know where you can get that everywhere.
It's falling over.
Oh, it's fine. It is delicious coffee. It is National Coffee Day.
Well, thank you for letting me come on today.
Well, thank you for providing all this information for us.
Well, it'll be a good time, and we have brochures around. Hopefully we're going to have some here at Hy-Vee, but we've got posters and whatnot all around. You can go to our website, which is muscatinechurch.org.
And the website looks amazing.
Yeah, well, it's a brand new website. We're rebranding everything and kind of starting over. So that's what happens when you pull a guy up from Texas. So, and I ask you to forgive me for being from Texas, but
oh, you're fine.
I'm trying to get to Iowa as quick as I can.
Well, you're seeing all the fall changes now.
Yeah.
Seeing all the leaves change. I don't think you get that down in Texas.
No.
So.
No.
Fall is very pretty here. If you haven't yet, you need to go down to Weed Park during the fall season. It's beautiful.
We'll do that. That's
Add
awesome.
that to your checklist. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on and providing all this amazing information. So this is a free seminar, 13 seminars, Relationship Matters. And if you really want to focusing on all of your health areas when it comes to spiritual, physical, emotional, and mental, this is a great one to go out to. So you can go to their Facebook or onto their website to be able to check out all of the information. And remember, this is free and open to the community, so be sure to go out and do so. Remember that the game is tomorrow. Kickoff is at 7:15, so be sure to wear your purple and gold for homecoming week. And have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and stay happy and stay healthy.